Dude, I'm putting a little cornstarch on my huevos, man. It's too humid down here.
Dad, wake up.
What?
Martin's putting cornstarch on his balls.
You putting cornstarch on your balls?
Yes, sir.
Let me get some. Want some? Here. It's like baby powder. Fill on your nuts. It's nice, right?
Nice.
What's good is in the morning, you could dip your nuts in oil and make hush puppies.
Welcome to the Mad Dad Movie Review, a podcast full of first-time movie reviews starring Mads and her dad.
I'm Mads.
And I'm her dad, and this is Mad Dad Movie Review. How goes it, kids and heroes, and welcome to an all-new edition of the Mad Dad Movie Review, where today it's going to be a special Mad Dad solo review because, as I mentioned in the previous episode, Madeline is unfortunately not with us this week, and so I am taking the reins and holding down the fort myself. That being said, I hope you guys are doing fantastic. This week, we are going to be checking out one of my personal favorites from the last 10 years, a little special film from Jon Favreau called Chef.
Wow, I'm feeling good, man. Let me say this.
What is this madness, huh?
There's carne asada. Check it out.
Wow.
Chef Big Dog up all night cooking.
Shut up and taste this, a mousse douche. Come here, guy. Look at that.
You like it?
Yeah.
We're gonna cook like this.
We're being reviewed by the most important critic in the city.
Now suddenly you're going to be an artist. Well, be an artist on your own time. It's my restaurant.
The kitchen is my domain. That was our deal.
The deal is now changed. Either you stay or you go.
So you're threatening to fire me now?
No, I'm telling you what I'm prepared to do if you don't cook my menu.
It's up. The review's out. His dramatic weight gain can only be explained by the fact that he must be eating all the food sent back to the kitchen.
You didn't like what they wrote about you?
I didn't like it either.
Who cares?
I do, because I could have done better. I should have cooked food that I was gonna cook. There are chefs that cook food that they believe in, and people will try because they're open to a new experience, and they'll end up liking it.
Hey, what are you doing? Don't do it. What are you writing?
Chef, that's not a good idea.
Just listen. I won't send it until we all say it's okay. Why don't you come by again tonight? I got a whole new menu just for you, asshole.
Oh, no.
That's not good.
Give me the phone. Give me the phone.
Don't do it. That's out there now, bro.
It happens.
Why would you do
You
that?
can't take that back.
Dad, did you post anything since last night?
You gotta be kidding me.
Wow.
You realize how many people have read this?
You're trending, bro.
You're never going to be happy cooking for someone else.
Food truck's a great idea. We're talking about a white-on-white 88 Chevy Grumman food truck. It's a blank canvas for your dreams. I'm gonna have him pull it around.
Thank you.
Don't thank me till you see it.
So what are you gonna do?
You're gonna laugh.
Tony, Carl's got a taco truck.
For real?
I was so jealous when I heard your voice. I was like, that's what I want to do.
I get to touch people's lives with what I do, and I love it. And I want to share this with you.
What are you doing?
Dude, I'm putting a little cornstarch on my huevos, man. It's too humid down here.
Dad, wake up. Martin's putting cornstarch on his balls.
Want some? It's like baby powder. It's nice, right?
Nice.
All right, before we get into the episode, I want to let everyone know that they can check out previous episodes of our show on Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Anchor, Podbean, Pandora, and wherever else you enjoy your favorite shows. You can check us out on Facebook.com at Mad Dad Movie Review, Instagram.com at Mad Dad Movie Review, YouTube.com at Mad Dad Movie Review, and finally Twitter.com at Mad Dad Movie Pod. And finally, if you have any questions, comments, or requests, you can always email them to maddadmoviereview@gmail.com. Let's go to shoutouts.
Baba Booey.
All right, so this week I'm going to be shouting out a site called Signature Horror. Now, I know the way things are these days with the pandemic and whatnot. Unfortunately, people like myself and others who listen to this show, we like to attend horror conventions and reunion type settings and shows and whatnot. But like I said, cannot do that because of the current situation. But thanks to Signature Horror, you are still able to go on and purchase photos that are signed by your favorite horror stars. They have photos, they have posters, they have special one-on-one Zoom times with some of the stars. You can do personal shout-outs from them. There's a bunch of cool things on there from different stars from the genre. It's Signature Horror. They're also on Facebook, but the website is signaturehorror.com, and they are my shout-out for the week. All right, guys, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
So, let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
So, Chef premiered on March 7th, 2014 at the South by Southwest Festival, being released later on May 9th, 2014 from Open Road Films. It opened up in 28th place against Neighbors, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, Mom's Night Out, and Captain America: The Winter Soldier. Opening weekend box office was a mere $205,000, going on to gross $48.5 million on an $11 million budget. It was directed by Jon Favreau, produced by Jon Favreau and Sergei Bespalov, written for the screen by Jon Favreau, edited by Robert Leighton, and cinematography by Kramer Morgenthau. Starring Jon Favreau as Carl Casper, MJ Anthony as Percy, John Leguizamo as Martin, Sofia Vergara as Inez, Bobby Cannavale as Tony, Scarlett Johansson as Molly, Oliver Platt as Ramsey Michelle, Dustin Hoffman as Riva, Amy Sedaris as Jen, and Robert Downey Jr. as Marvin. All right, guys, let's head over to the Critics Corner and see what they had to say. Chef has a current Rotten Tomatoes score of 87% from 190 reviews. It has a Metascore of 68 from 36 reviews and a Letterboxd score of 3.6 out of 5. The general consensus reads, Chef's charming cast and sharp, funny script add enough spice to make this feel-good comedy a flavorful, if familiar, treat. Rolling Stone gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, describing it as an artful surprise and exuberant gift, deliciously entertaining, comic, touching, and often bitingly true. The Boston Globe also gave it 3.5 out of 4 stars, said it was funny and heartfelt, and that, despite its weaknesses, the strengths overpower the parts of the meal that are undercooked. The Chicago Sun-Times gave it 3 out of 4 stars, finding it funny, quirky, and insightful with a bounty of interesting supporting characters, but also noting the lack of plot and character development in some areas. Variety found the plot predictable and slow-paced, while Washington Post and USA Today both awarded it 3.5 out of 4 stars. And then there's Slant Magazine, who only gave it 1.5 out of 4 stars, describing it as Favreau's most self-satisfied, safe, and compromised film to date. Don't necessarily agree with that, but to each their own. Alright, so why do I love this film? Well, I love it because of the story's father-son relationship. I love it because it's not just another actor's throwaway passion project. I love this film because the major actors' roles are minimal and with a certain purpose. I love it because it features one of my favorite soundtracks. The music in this film is perfect, guys. I love it because MJ Anthony is a very believable child actor. I love it because it brings out my passion for culinary arts. I love this film because food trucks are a wonderful thing. I love it because it's a perfect feel-good movie with high replay value. I love it because I love the unintentional Twitter placement featured throughout. I love it because of the script's natural comedy that's featured predominantly. And finally, I love this film because it's essentially an indie film with a big-time budget. Alright, so my first time seeing this film, it had to be right around the time it first came out on Blu-ray. I'm not sure if this was a movie I got a screener for ahead of time or not, but I did see it right around that time. It was released on home video. Unfortunately, I missed out on it in theaters, but it was one of the movies that after I saw it for that first time, first I was blown away by how much I loved it, because I just thought it was going to be, just a decent, passion project, because I knew Jon Favreau was behind it. I knew I knew of his motivations. I knew this was something that he was really trying to get off the ground. And it came. It made a mark in theaters, and then right when it was released later on in 2014 is when I saw it. So probably right around my 30th birthday, so around August, late July, early August, around that time is when I first saw this. And again, it's one of the movies that I just loved it after first viewing. It's so good, it really is. It all started with Jon Favreau. He wanted to write chef. Like I mentioned, this was his passion project after Iron Man and everything. He also dabbled before. He made Elf with Will Ferrell, and he did a film called Made with Vince Vaughn that was kind of a swingers spiritual sequel. I'm not a big fan of Made though. I much prefer Swingers over Made. But if you do check it out, it came out about 20 years ago. It's the re-teaming of Favreau and Vince Vaughn, and it's called Made. So Jon Favreau wrote Chef in about 2 weeks. He had long wanted to make a film about food and chefs and felt that the subject was suited to a small-scale independent film rather than a big-budget production. He cited Hero Dreams of Sushi, Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, and Big Night as inspirations for creating a food-centric film. The script was semi-autobiographical, incorporating parts of Favreau's life into the main character, such as being a father while having a busy career and coming from a broken home. He also drew a comparison between his career as a director and Carl's career as a chef. He stepped down from directing major studio films to go, quote-unquote, back to basics and create Chef on a smaller budget. Much like Carl's resignation from a popular restaurant to work in a food truck. So there's that comparison there for the film, going off of the plot from the movie, what happens in this film. So got it off the ground, like I said, got the ball rolling, was able to get a lot of his friends from the Iron Man Marvel films involved, and with a modest budget, he was able to make much money. For independent scale, it was much money for both himself and Open Road Films, which unfortunately I do not think are around anymore. That was kind of a movie company that was around for about 6, 7, 8 years or so, and they just kind of quietly went away. I know they put out that Liam Neeson movie with the wolves. What was that called? The Pack of the Road or something? I can't remember off the top of my head. They'd had this Jason Statham film called Homefront. They had a bunch of movies during their time, and like the early to mid to late 2010s, they were around. But yeah, they put this movie out. let's jump into the movie itself, shall we, guys? So it opens with Carl Casper, played by Jon Favreau. He is entering a kitchen early in the morning and preparing a special menu for food critic Ramsey Michelle. This is the Oliver Platt character that we're going to be familiar with throughout the movie. He's prepping a pig that he was able to get his hands on for the meal, and then he realizes that it's 10 a.m. and he has to go pick up his son Percy. On the way to his car, he wakes up Tony, who is Bobby Cannavale, and instructs him on everything that needs to be done while he's gone. Carl picks up his son Percy and immediately tells him that they cannot go to the movies because he's being reviewed today. Percy informs him that he already knows because his mom told him, and Carl tells him that his mom wants him to get a food truck, which Percy isn't quite against. He takes Percy with him to the market to get ingredients for his menu, and the two end up pigging out on a bag of kettle corn that Carl initially didn't want to eat. We establish the father-son relationship between the two during this sequence. Percy is consistently trying to make plans with Carl, but Carl's so busy that he's making excuses and blowing off all the ideas that he has, not realizing Percy's actually making attempts to bond or get involved with his busy work schedule. So they go back to the restaurant. Carl returns and checks on his staff when Reva, the owner of the restaurant, this is Dustin Hoffman's character, he comes in, interrupts their meeting about Carl altering the menu. Reva makes an argument that it's his menu and it's always worked for his customers. However, Carl is trying to make a special menu for the critic because the food's always the same and he wants to make something different for him. He's a big deal, and I want to cook.
You got it?
Are you planning on altering the menu?
Yeah, I can't do this right now. Please, just...
You know a lot is on the line today.
I know, that's why the menu has to be perfect.
Yeah, but I can help you plan it.
I can't do this right now. Just give me 5 minutes to get my staff going. I'll come and I'll walk you through the menu.
Carl, I've done this before. I can help guide you.
I don't need guidance right now. I need space. Okay? Thank you.
Can we have a little privacy, guys? Huh? I ask you to leave, you gotta look at Carl.
Okay, everybody, tomen cinco, take 5. Saquen todo el fuego, maricas.
You good? I got it. Go. Grab a coffee. Let's get something straight.
Yeah.
You don't fucking talk to my staff like that. I talk to my staff. That side of the pass is you, this side is me. That was the arrangement that we had when you hired me.
Okay, now, will you listen to me for a minute? Carl, yeah. I get ideas. Sometimes my ideas work. I really don't care what magazine said that you're the next big thing. The fact is, you work for me in my restaurant, right? I've had chefs before you in this kitchen. I'll have chefs after you, okay?
All right, good talk. Let me get back to work.
You know who's coming tonight? We're being reviewed by the most important critic in the city.
Yes.
You know that his online blog was sold to AOL
for $10 million.
That's right.
Yes.
You knew that?
Yes, I know.
Okay.
He's a big deal, and that's why I want to cook him a good menu.
You want to cook him a good
I want to cook him some good food.
Yeah, well then...
And our place is in a fucking creative rut.
In a rut?
In a creative rut.
You do know that we're doing better than any place in the neighborhood.
I'm not talking about how much money we're making. I'm talking about creatively, the food that we're serving. It's the same food we've been serving for 5 years.
You remember what happened when you put guts on the menu? Huh?
Are you talking about my sweetbreads? Is that what you mean by guts?
Yeah. When you put that artsy shit on the menu, people don't like it. Not one person ordered your sweetbreads. Please listen to me. I sank a fortune into the remodel to get you the French cookie top, whatever it is, that tabletop.
French cooking suite.
Right. Not every chef gets that.
No,
you know why you get it?
I appreciate it.
You know why? Because you deserve it. So you don't know that, but I know it. You deserve it. So be smart, just for tonight. Look, if you bought Stones tickets and Jagger didn't play Satisfaction, how would you feel? Would you be happy?
No.
No. You'd burn the place to the fucking ground. Your menu works. People love it. Carl, do what you want tonight. Okay, you're the chef. You know what I think? I think you should play your hits.
So Carl gets back to his staff for pre-shift and ends up announcing that the same menu that they cook each night is going to be cooked that night to everyone's dissatisfaction. At the end of the night, Carl and his crew are celebrating at the bar when Ramsey's review hits. Carl pulls it up on his phone and begins reading it out loud, slowly realizing it's a negative review, calling him out for serving more of the same boring food that's unappealing to him, also while taking shots at Carl's weight, amongst other things. Feeling dejected, he ends up taking the hostess Molly. This is Scarlett Johansson's character. She plays the hostess for the restaurant. She thinks that he's the best chef in the world. So to make himself feel better, he ends up taking her back to his place and cooks her food, a plate of pasta that she just desires and is moaning over. And it's a nice scene. Sometime later, Carl goes to pick up Percy when Percy tells him that his mother wants to talk to him inside. Now, his mother is played by Sofia Vergara. Her name is Inez. So he goes inside to talk to her. She wants to make sure that he's okay after the review, and then tells him about Percy being let down by his constant tardiness. Carl makes it up to him by taking him out to go ride rides and see a movie. And in a very funny, quick 10-second scene. I kid you not. He says it's going to go make it up to him. And then literally we get a shot of them riding a roller coaster for 2 seconds, a shot of them left, and then a movie scene for 2 seconds, and then he's dropping them back off and going back to work. Carl gets back to the kitchen overnight to prepare another special meal for the critic. Martin, this is John Leguizamo's character, his partner in crime, he comes in and tells him to go home to sleep, casually saying, "Fuck Twitter," to which Carl picks up on it and asks what that means. Martin just casually blows it off and then focuses on the food that Carl has made. Tony then comes in and also tells Carl not to worry about Twitter. At this point, Carl's like, what's going on? He wants to know what they're talking about. And then that's when Tony tells him what Twitter is, and then quickly goes back to talking about the food that's being made as the scene fades to black. So we have Carl with Percy again. This time Percy is the one who mentions Twitter to Carl. So Carl finally has Percy create an account for him with the handle @Chef Carl Casper. And the first thing he sees is that Ramsay's review of Carl went viral. Later that night, after Percy's asleep, Carl reads some more of the food articles about Ramsay's review when he decides that he's going to tweet, "You wouldn't know a good meal if it sat on your face," to Ramsay publicly instead of private messaging. So after doing this, he goes to bed, and then we see the Twitter notifications on his tablet just start blowing up. It just starts going from 1 to 10 to 20 to 1,000. And yeah, that's it. So, pause. Where we are now, so we've established this relationship between Favreau and MJ Anthony, who, by the way, I'm probably going to mention this a handful of times in this episode. I cannot say enough great things about MJ Anthony. Didn't really do much. I know he was in this. He was in that Krampus film a year later. But that's really it. Unless I'm missing something, I haven't seen the poor kid in much. And it's a shame because he's a really good actor. And he plays the role of Percy really convincingly. Like, it's hard to explain. Like, kid actors, child actors in general, let's all not lie, beat around the bush, they're not that great. They really aren't. For 9 times out of 10, your child performance is going to be phoned in. It's going to be your typical child performance. It's going to be a kid. Like, they're not all Macaulay Culkins. They're not all going to be Elijah Woods, okay? They're not all, for every Haley Joel Osment that we get in the world, we get, I don't know, McLovin or something. You know what I mean? So he's really great. I love the relationship, this bond between these two. And so far, it's just hectic at the restaurant. He's got this boss, Dustin Hoffman, breathing over his neck. He's got the hostess, Molly, who is on his side, but also doesn't want to, piss off the owner and lose her job. So she's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. Meanwhile, he's also got Martin and Tony, who are loyal to him. But you can only go so far with this, So the next morning, while cooking breakfast, Percy wakes up and checks the tablet to see over 1,600 people have started to follow Carl now. He asks his father if he posted anything, and Carl tells him that he didn't. just a private message to that food critic. Percy then tells him he didn't message it, he tweeted it for everyone to see. Percy explains that retweets are public and that he retweeted Carl's response to all 123,000 of his followers. He also responds with, "I would rather have you sit on my face after a brisk walk on a warm day than suffer through that fucking lava cake again." This infuriates Carl, who replies with telling him to come to the restaurant that night because he's got a special menu waiting for him. So he drops off Percy. When he goes to drop off Percy, Inez is there and tells him that her publicist wants to talk to him about the Twitter incident. So they all go inside to call her, but she's not around. She says she's going to call back. That never happens. This is when Carl basically says, "Thanks, but no thanks." He then realizes what it's all about. It's the food truck. He's not about the food truck, and he goes about his day. Back at the restaurant, Carl's trying to get everything and everyone together for the special menu that he has when Riva interrupts again because he wants the menu changed back.
Carl, we're staying with the same menu, right?
Yeah, I have something really good planned for tonight. I'm gonna let you say it's not sweetbreads.
Yeah,
You're gonna be able to taste it.
That may be true, but we have the most reservations we've had on a work night since we opened. You realize that?
I know. I was on Twitter. I was promoting the restaurant. I was
What?
on Twitter.
Yeah, that's another thing. From now on, before you post anything online, I okay it. All right?
The whole reason everybody's here tonight is because I called out Ramsey and Michelle online, and they're all coming to watch me stick it in his ass.
Yeah, and you're going to Twitter an apology for calling the most respected critic in Los Angeles an asshole.
I'm not gonna fucking apologize to that guy.
What do you mean you're
You
not
see what he
gonna-
wrote about me?
I don't give a fuck
He
what he
started
wrote
it.
about you. I don't care. You're a cook. You're a chef. This is what you've been cooking for years, and it works. And either you cook the menu that our customers have come to...
You want me to cook the same food?
The same exact...
The same food that he ripped apart? The same guy who's coming tonight?
The restaurant isn't filled with critics. It's filled with people that have been eating your food for the last 10 years. So now suddenly you're going to be an artist. Well, be an artist on your own time.
Listen to me.
No sweetbreads, no calves brains.
I'm not cooking sweetbreads. Listen to me. The kitchen is my domain. That was our deal.
I don't give a fuck what the deal was. The deal is now changed. Either you stay or you go. It's up to you. End of discussion.
We got a full house of people.
Yeah.
Who are coming tonight.
Yeah.
To eat my food.
No, it's not your food, Carl. It's not your food. By definition, it's my food because it's my restaurant. I pay for the glasses. I pay for the napkins. I pay for the spoons. I pay for Molly's salary. I pay for your entire staff's salary, okay? So you either cook my menu or Tony can. Tony, you've been cooking it half the time anyway. Tell the truth, right?
So you're threatening to fire me now?
Am I threatening to fire you? No, I'm telling you what I'm prepared to do if you don't cook my menu. Subject closed.
Well, why don't you cook the menu without a chef, and we see how it goes. We see how it goes tonight. Let's go, Tony. Fuck this. Tony. Good luck.
Oh, no way, no
Good
way.
luck.
I'm not gonna- No
Mark,
way,
Mark,
man.
Mark.
No, hell no. Come on.
Stay.
Come on, come on, let me go.
Don't do it. Don't do it. Just
Call me.
Carl goes home and he starts cooking for himself. He's cooking anyway. That's what he does. He's a chef. When you're in that space, when you're in that zone, when you're down your luck, you cook. You do what you love, what that passion is. That's what Carl's doing. He's going to go home and he's going to cook himself the meal anyway. Intercutting with scenes at the restaurant, with Ramsey arriving and getting the same meal that he's already reviewed. He asks to speak with Carl. Riva comes around with a bottle of wine and tells him that he had to leave and he wouldn't let anyone know if he was returning. Just making up crap to buy time, thinking that I guess he thinks Carl's coming back. I don't know. Ramsey ends up tweeting about Carl going into hiding. Upon reading this, Carl goes back to the restaurant and goes ballistic on Ramsey.
Stop it for a second.
Just.
I've been waiting to talk to this prick for a long time.
Okay.
I am not cloying. I am not needy. I don't care what you think. You're not getting to me. I'm not needy. Chocolate lava cake is not just undercooked chocolate cake. That's not what makes the center molten. You take a frozen cylinder of ganache and you set it in the ramekin so that as the outside cooks fully, the inside becomes molten.
Okay.
It's fucking molten, see? It's fucking molten, you asshole. And you don't do anything. What do? You sit and you eat and you vomit those words back to make people laugh. You know how hard I work for this shit? Do you know how my whole staff works? What sacrifices I make to make you happy, and then you just smugly just fucking shit on my shit?
Okay.
It hurts!
Yes.
It fucking hurts when you write that shit. It hurt you.
It does. It does.
He thought you were gonna close his fucking restaurant down. You asshole. And what do? You just write shit you just make shit up. My shit was molten. It's fucking molten. Asshole.
So now Carl has gone viral for this rant. His attempts to call his wife's publicist to have her get rid of all the videos goes nowhere when all she wants to do is utilize this incident for financial purposes. She wants to get him on talk shows and stuff like that. But all he wants to do is cook. He then calls his ex-wife again and asks her to keep Percy for him, and then he has to cancel their New Orleans trip that they made earlier in the film. And yeah, Carl meets up with Martin and Tony at the bar, and they all talk about Carl's outburst and then his future with his own kitchen. A conversation outside with Molly reveals that he's actually received 0 phone calls and that he needs to get back to work. Molly ends up pushing him to be with Percy more instead. So this is when he picks up Percy, and Inez tells him that they're going to go see her father in Miami, and she wants him to go along. This is when Inez tells him about how much he hurt Percy, so she wants him to come to Miami to take care of Percy while she handles business to kind of make up for that. So now we're in Miami with Carl, Inez, and Percy. Gotta be a little awkward, not gonna lie. They all go to Little Havana so that Percy can watch Inez's father perform once in his lifetime. The sight of Carl and Inez acting socially together and dancing makes Percy visibly happy. Later after the performance, they all go out to eat with their father, and they start talking about things such as Carl's weight and his future and such. They start eating Cubanos, but Percy's asleep, and Carl wants to wake him up so that he can have an authentic sandwich. This gets Carl and Inez talking more about him making Cubanos on a food truck, and he finally agrees to talk to her ex, Marvin, about getting a food truck, essentially. So now we're going to be introduced to Marvin. Not Martin, Marvin. This is Robert Downey Jr. This is the ex of Sofia Vergara. He goes to Carl goes to Marvin's office to talk. It's a funny scene when he goes in. His receptionist instructs Carl to put on booties for the floor. And then it's pretty funny take with him trying to walk to Marvin's office, sliding around. The two talk about things such as Marvin's lying pregnant receptionist, to the carpet for Marvin's floor, to the food truck. A lot of things we talk about in this scene here. Carl stops Marvin from busting his balls, and Marvin insinuates that he slept with Inez after Carl left before turning the attention to the truck. The food truck pulls up Carl outside, and it is a dump. He calls Martin to tell him about the business, that it's going to need more time to start, and then this is when Martin reveals that he's promoted to sous chef at the restaurant. So, for those of you who don't know, a sous chef is basically the second in command. You are like the chef's right-hand man, essentially. So, he's that now at the restaurant. Inez drops off Percy and eventually admits to what Marvin hinted at before. Carl and Percy then begin thoroughly cleaning the inside and out of the truck together, removing old appliances and scrubbing everything down, including an old usable hotel pan that Percy just straight up refuses to clean, that he just wants to throw away instead, and Carl just gives him crap about it. I mean, they do a hell of a job. The inside, the out. I mean, this truck, when I say it's a dump, it looks like someone used this truck maybe 5 or 6 years prior, used it, dirtied it up, food and everything, but didn't clean it. And the truck just sat underneath some tarp for many, many years. That's what this truck looks like in this scene. And they have to go in and take care. They've got to handle business. And that is what they do. With the truck now clean and time left to kill, Carl takes Percy with him to go buy appliances for the truck. While they're checking out, Carl purchases a chef's knife for Percy to have. He explains the significance of it and says that he's going to show him how to take care of it and that he has earned it.
Looks good. You know what? Let's also get the 6-inch chef's knife with the plastic handle.
And then you need also the holder, right?
Yeah, I think that cover as well. Okay, you see this, Percy? That's a chef's knife. A real chef's knife. It's not a toy. You understand? This thing's sharp. It could send you to the hospital if you're not careful. I'm going to teach you how to use this thing. But a chef's knife, it belongs to the chef, not to the kitchen. So it's your responsibility to keep it sharp, clean, not to lose it. Could you handle that?
Yes.
This is a good knife. It'll last you a long time if you take care of it. Don't lose it.
I won't. Thank you.
You earned it.
It's a touching scene. I like the scene a lot with Carl surprising him with the knife. Not everyone gets to have a chef's knife, so for Carl to do that for his son, it's a touching thing. Back at the truck, Carl tries to get a group of Mexicans that are on break around the area. They're sitting around the table. Tries to get them to help move the appliances to the truck, but to no avail, of course. Carl tries using a pallet jack, but that gets him nowhere, of course. This is when Martin, out of the blue, just suddenly shows up in a taxi cab, and he tells Carl that he's his new sous chef and that he'll work for nothing for now. He immediately begins helping out by asking the workers in Spanish to help, which the crew does, and they all get the equipment onto Carl's truck. Carl and Percy then go to the market to get everything they need, while Martin stays behind to marinate and prep. With the meat now ready, the three try it out before breaking into their own food truck jobs, with Martin in charge of the meats, Percy's in charge of making the sandwiches, and Carl is overtaking everything else pretty much. Carl then invites all the workers over for lunch, as promised by Martin. Percy accidentally burns a Cubano, but still wants to serve it because they're not paying for it. This is when Carl pulls him outside and gives him a speech about how cooking is his passion and that he does it no matter what. Even if it's free, he loves to do it, and every sandwich counts. Even if it's free, it's about reputation. This is a really important scene in this movie. One of my favorite scenes by far.
For a second. Is this boring to you?
No, I like it.
Yeah, well, I love it. Everything that's good that's happened to me in my life came because of that. I might not do everything great in my life. Okay, I'm not perfect. I'm not the best husband, and I'm sorry if I wasn't the best father. But I'm good at this. And I want to share this with you. I want to teach you what I learned. I get to touch people's lives with what I do. And it keeps me going, and I love it. And I think if you give it a shot, you might love it too.
Yeah, sure.
Now, should we have served that sandwich?
No, chef.
That's my son. Get back in there. We got some hungry people. He's ready to cook.
Later that night, the three are sitting around outside the truck talking about their success and what their plans are going to be. Percy tries convincing them to let him come along, even going as far as to asking his mom ahead of time. It works, and the trio kick off the next day in downtown Miami, stopping at a popular park area where the crowd suddenly starts surrounding the truck almost immediately. They enjoy success at their location before a police officer arrives, asking for their permits and such, before noticing Carl from the viral video. He then hilariously asks him to take various pictures with them inside and out of the truck, doing random poses and such. There's even a pose with the two kind of doing a take on Lady and the Tramp with a Cubano sandwich instead of noodles. And then, when that scene happens, they just move along. The three are now heading to New Orleans with a mini montage of different area shots and Twitter videos and posts that Percy's checking on his phone. This is when Percy explains to Carl and Martin that he's been shooting a 1-second video each day, and at the end of their trip, he's going to make a video with it, using all the clips, essentially making a collage. They arrive in New Orleans and set up around the quarter. Carl and Percy walk further down the French Quarter to have bayonets together. Percy asks his father what else they need to buy when they're finished eating, and this is when Carl says nothing. They just want to enjoy the time together that they have. So, another home run scene with the two, really hammering that father-son relationship, and that's just one of the key things about this movie. It's a really great scene with the two going to the French Quarter, enjoying bagnettes together. What more can I say other than when they get back, there's a massive line outside the truck waiting for them to order. It's revealed that while they're doing the po' boy prep, that this is because Percy posted about it and tagged them all on Twitter. So that's how they got the crowd rounded up. And then we get Hot 8 Brass Band Sexual Healing playing. Love this scene to death. I love this song, this cover. It's great rendition of the Sexual Healing.
Some loving, and baby, I can't hold it much longer. It's getting stronger and stronger. When I get that feeling, I want sexual healing, sexual healing. It's good for me. You feel so fine. Helps to relieve my mind. Yeah, sexual. It's good for me. Sexual healing is something that's good for me. Whenever blues hit us.
That's something else that Favreau does with the music in this movie. He doesn't have an actual composer. Instead, he inserts songs into scenes by their setting. Like New Orleans, they've got this Hot 8 Brass Band cover. It's kind of a jazzy cover ensemble going on here. When they're in Miami, there's, of course, Latino music playing and whatnot. When they get to Austin, there's more of a indie rock sound going on. So you get it. The music's playing to the locations throughout the movie. Speaking of Austin, so the Sexual Healing song's playing while they're going to Austin. It's just them hanging out, singing along in the truck while Percy looks lost, and then he begins laughing about what they're singing about. This is when they arrive to Austin. They go to Franklin's Barbecue to pick up their meats for the truck. It's briskets, actually. He's got 4 of them for them that they've been cooking overnight. They try out the brisket at the table, and that's it. They're trying it out, and they take it. And that's what they're doing. They're in Austin, so of course from the food truck, they are making barbecue sandwiches. They set up the truck in Austin while the Twitter birds are seen chirping around. Then we get shots of downtown Austin hospitality going on while the guys are serving people. Love it. Later that night, while everyone's winding down, Carl and Percy are sitting on top of the food truck. They talk about Percy's video project, and then Carl breaks down and tells Percy how much of a good time he's had, but that their trip's going to be ending soon. He's going to have to go home, back to school. It's at the end of a trip or at the end of, something that you're having fun doing. It's wind down time, and we're getting to be around that point of both the trip and the movie. More shots of the truck heading out west are shown before eventually hitting Cali. Carl drops Percy off at home. When he does this, Percy gives him a huge hug and tells him he's really going to miss him. Before leaving, Percy reminds him about the video that he made. And that's when Carl gets back home and he plays the the 1-second video clip that he was telling him about. He plays it, gets very emotional watching it, realizing how much of a fun time it really was. When it's over, he calls Percy and tells him as long as it's okay with Mom, he wants Percy's help with the truck on weekends and weeknights after homework's done, and that all the money he makes goes straight to college. So sometime later, Carl has his food truck set up along with other trucks with a massive crowd of people around California. It's worth mentioning Inez is now working for them in the truck taking orders. This is when the critic, Ramsey Michelle, Oliver Platt, shows up and he asks to speak with Carl. The two go behind the truck in private and hash out everything that happened. He tells Carl he's been enjoying his food before ridiculing him for cooking for Reva and then offering to partner up and open up a brand new restaurant together.
What exactly are you doing here?
I'm eating the food. I'm eating your food.
I thought my food was needy and cloying.
Well, I didn't think you'd want to serve me, so I sent somebody else to pick it up.
What happened between us? That really knocked me for a loop. I mean, you robbed me of my pride, of my career, my dignity. And I know people like you don't usually care about that kind of thing.
That's not necessarily true.
But you should know, it hurts people like me. Because we're really trying.
You started a flame war with me. Are you kidding me? I buy Hank by the barrel, buddy. What are you doing picking a fight with me? I wouldn't challenge you to a cook-off.
I thought I was sending you a private message.
I didn't know that. I thought we were having fun. It was theater. By the way, what the fuck were you cooking? You totally shat the bed, buddy. How could I back that? You were one of my early boys.
I had no control over the menu.
Whatever the case, okay? You seem to be cooking for yourself again. Because this shit is sensational. I mean really, really good.
Thank you.
I'm not gonna write about it.
I understand.
Because I'd like to back you.
Excuse me?
I want to bankroll you, and I can't write about anything I have a vested interest in.
I'm not sure I get what's going on here.
I sold my website for a whole lot of money, and I've just put in a bid in a place on Rose. It's zoned, it's permitted. You could build it out however you like, and you can cook whatever you like. Take your time, think about it. I wouldn't blame you for having a few trust issues, but I just thought that, you know, you and me burying the hatchet might be a good story. Reservations out the door. More importantly, you know, you just cook your ass off in there. In the meantime, you just tweet me wherever you are and I'll come running. Because this shit's good, all right? Delicious. Delicioso. Mucho goodo.
Hey, Hefe.
Yeah.
That was a lot of talking and you not punching him. So what the asshole say, huh?
I think that asshole might be our new partner.
And then finally, 6 months later, Carl's enjoying the opening of his brand new restaurant with Ramsey, El Jefe. It's also revealed before the closing credits that Carl and Inez have remarried and are also enjoying their reception at the new joint along with friends and family. And guys, that wraps Chef. As a trivia, got a little bit. Favreau did his own cooking by training with food truck chef Roy Choi, who would team up again with Favreau 5 years later for their Chef Netflix series. Oliver Platt's brother is a prominent food critic in New York City. The scene with Carl and Percy in the cinema features audio from Iron Man as a nod to Favreau's work on the film. For some of the road scenes, Favreau admitted to using stock footage with the food truck just digitally inserted in. Ramsey Michelle is named after world-famous chefs Gordon Ramsay and Michelle Rocks Jr. Twitter paid nothing for its placement in the film, only requesting that some animated logo tweaks be made. And finally, Percy tells his father, heard, when being told that his phone's ringing. This is apparently a term that cooks use while communicating to acknowledge instructions and information on the job. So I learned that by doing some researching. All right, let's wrap this baby up. My unbiased MVP pick of this movie is going to be a first for this podcast. Going to be doing a 3-way tie between Jon Favreau, MJ Anthony, and John Leguizamo. the dynamic between these three, they're just inseparable. I mean, they really bring a familiar bond that elevates the story. They make this film together in the truck, the three of them. My Be Kind, Rewind, most rewatchable moment, it's going to be everything that happens from New Orleans to Austin. That jump, to me, it's the core of the story's heart, with all the best moments happening from Carl and Percy eating bagnettes together, to the sexual healing song on the drive, to Franklin's barbecue and all that. It's just a wonderful 20-minute sequence. My double feature pairing is going to be like a fine wine, like Sideways, the film Sideways from 2004. Think of Chef as the delicious entree, like I said. Now you're going to pair that entree with a fine wine, right? Now think of Sideways as that complementing wine. Fitting enough? See where I'm going with this? That's it. Star power. So I'm giving this film a perfect 5-star rating. There is so much going for this delightful film. Whether it's the direction, the writing, the music, the performances, or the story. There's honestly nothing this film cannot do. I admire Jon Favreau for doing so much in order to make the project come to life. In the end, he seriously created one of my favorite movies of the last decade. The cameos never take you out of the element, and the three-way pairing, like I said, of Favreau, Anthony, and Leguizamo, it makes the movie what it is. The music is golden. The performances are incredible. This is a 2-hour movie that does not feel anywhere near 2 hours long. You can seriously breeze through this movie and it'll be like, that's it. You expect more, and before you know it, it's over. But there's nothing wrong with that, because it's just, all the best movies are like that. They just take you out of the element. So, that all being said, that's gonna do it. I think I've hit everything I need to say about this movie. I think you get my drift. I think you guys are picking up what I'm putting down. It's a lovely movie, one of my favorites. Something tells me we'll be talking about this film again on the podcast soon. Yep. So next time you'll be listening in to the podcast, it'll be Mads again, returning. And we'll be talking about our top 10 favorite movies of the 2010s. That'll be next week's episode. It'll be episode 30. And, of course, going off of our every 10 episodes gimmick. It's a 10th episode, which means top 10. So that'll be the next top 10 episode next Tuesday. And before we get out of here, I want to let everyone know that they can check us out on Apple, Spotify, Google, Breaker, Stitcher, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Overcast, Anchor, Podbean, and wherever else you enjoy your favorite shows. Check us out on Facebook.com at Mad Dad Movie Review, Instagram.com at Mad Dad Movie Review, YouTube.com at Mad Dad Movie Review, and finally Twitter.com at Mad Dad Movie Pod. And of course, if you guys have any questions, comments, or requests, always email them to maddadmoviereview at gmail.com. And also, if you can, ratings help. Good ratings, solid reviews, whatever you can do, whatever platform you use. If you're able to utilize that review rating system, please. It helps with the algorithm. It helps the show. We're trying to elevate, guys, and your honesty and good words will help get us there. So, it's not the end of the world if you don't want to. That's cool. So, yeah, that's going to wrap things up for this episode, guys. Seriously, I say this every week, but I mean it. Take care of one another. Stay safe. And please, mask up. All right, guys, till next time. Take it easy.